Hey, it's Kendrick with Technology Interpreters, and so today I'm going to walk you through Hack the Box Unified, which is the last one in a Hack the Box starting point series. If you have not already completed the series, please go back. I have a playlist listed in the description of this video and walk through the entire series. Trust me, you won't regret it. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started. So with all hacks, we have to start off with our reconnaissance phase, which means we've got to get information on our intended target. In this case, I'm going to explain the exact commands we're using. So if you're a beginner, don't worry, you'll be able to do this. So here's the deal. So nmap -sc, what that means is going to run what's called default script. This is a set of a combination of other commands that are kind of bundled into one. The -sv command means it's going to tell us the version. So it's trying to scan different ports on this device that we're targeting. If you don't understand TCP ports, you really need to go back and look up TCP ports and understand that. And then what it's going to do basically is going to say, okay, I see that this web server is running on this port, but here's the actual version of the web server. That's really helpful because different versions of software have vulnerabilities. So we want to make sure that we're as accurate as possible. And then finally, the -v, lowercase v, and these are all case sensitive, means that we want to increase the verbosity. So see all the information that we're seeing here. Verbosity is a very fancy way of saying we just want to see more information as you're scanning. A lot of the information it hides from us, and so we actually use this to see a little bit more information. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, and then we'll jump into the next portion of this hack. Okay, so there's a lot in this scan, and so I'm going to walk you through what it wants you to learn from this. So let's scroll back up, and we'll kind of go to the very top. And so what we're looking for specifically is we notice there are different services. So we got SSH running here, but we also have 8080, which a lot of times that's a website. So you can take a website, and websites don't just have to be on port 80 and 443. You can actually change them to run on different ports, in this case 8080. But what they also want you to see is if you scroll down here, and yours is a little bit different from the actual guide. That's why I want to go through this, because I want to catch those little nuances, because it's down here that it wants you to see that there's a proxy that is redirecting to. So it's actually you're going to port 8080, but then in turn in the background is redirecting you to port 8443. This is very important because this is what we're going to need to interrogate. All right. So, and if you see it down here, it has the details of what's on 8443, which is basically the port. This is the service that we're going to be targeting. It's unified. And I believe this is Ubiquiti, which they make wireless equipment. I've actually used Ubiquiti quite a bit, so I'm pretty sure I remember this vulnerability when it came out. But we're going to target this, and then stay tuned, you'll see. So our next step in the process is we're going to actually go to the website. So I've copied it here. I'm going to paste this in. Oh, that's actually my nmap command. So the easiest thing, I'm going to go here, I'm going to copy this, go to my browser, paste it in, put a colon, and 8080. That's what we discovered at first. But remember, in theory, this should redirect us to 8443, which it did. Okay, so that nmap scan was correct. And so now we're going to click on advanced, and we're going to accept the risk. Once again, we're in a virtual environment. And so now we're starting to see Unify in the title and the heading. And let's see if we can get this page to actually load. Okay, all right, there it is. So this is always good because, right, we're looking for opportunities to do some type of exploitation. And so right now we're sitting at a box here, or a menu that allows us to put in credentials. But what's even better, and this is where it really gets tricky, what they've done is they've revealed the version of the Unify software that we're using right now, 6.4.54. So our next step is we need to see, are there any vulnerabilities available? So let's find out. So I want to show you something, because in a tutorial they mentioned that basically you just Google, and this is where it takes a little work, because I can tell you it's not as simple as you might think. Tutorials, they help you, but just want to show you the real world example. So I'm going to put UNIFI 6.54, let's say exploit. Let's look up exploit first. Now I've already got the link to where you find it, but you can see that takes us there. But actually, let's look at vulnerability, okay? Because what we're looking is, I want to show you that I know where they want us to go, but this is real world. So it's not going to always just pop out and just be listed like you want to. Okay. So we do have an example, unified controller, but here's where they're actually leading you to. So they want you to find out that it's 2021 44228. So that actually, that YouTube video has got it. 2021, there it is right there on GitHub 244. So that's the link. But what they wanted to show you here is right here on the NV of the NIST, the National Vulnerability Database. Here it is. So it gives us all the details about the vulnerability. So I strongly encourage you to take the time, read through this, and understand this vulnerability. So this is where the complexity is going to go up just a little bit. So I'm going to take my time and walk you through this. Make sure you repeat these steps, and we'll see if we can get through without any issue. So now what we want to do is we want to open Burp Suite. So you can go here in the top, click on your Kali, and you can just type Burp, BURP-SUITE. But before we can effectively use Burp Suite, we need to set up our web browser to go to Burp Suite, which is it's serving as a proxy, which means it's acting as a man in the middle. So when we send a request, it's going to go to Burp Suite. Burp Suite can intercept the request. We can manipulate the parameters of the request, and then we send that on to the target website. Okay. So I'm going to go through all this. So you're going to select OK there. You don't need to download the Java. I tried that. That kind of like caught me up a little bit, but you don't have to worry about that. Okay. You can see it opens here. You want to do a temporary project. So go ahead and click next, use the defaults, and click start Burp Suite. So now this is going to take just a second to load. And this is what Burp Suite looks like. But we need to make a change on our web browser first. So we're going to go here. Actually, just click the three top lines in the top right hand corner, kind of behind my picture there. I hope you can see my mouse right there. But click the three lines there. Go to settings. And then in the search, type proxy. And we're going to click settings here on the proxy settings. And we're going to redirect this to 127.0.0.1 port 8080. So at this point, don't try to browse the web because everything is going to go to Burp Suite. Okay, so we're going to submit a request. Burp Suite is going to capture that request, and then we'll be able to send that over to other parts of Burp Suite so that we can repeat the same commands over and over and over again. It's really, really cool. All right, so here we go. So let's prepare to start sending these commands. In order to do so, we're going to go back to here to our Hack the Box screen. We're going to copy the IP address, not capture is what I was trying to say. And I'm just going to go here to settings, and honestly, I'll just close the settings right now. Open a new tab, and I'm going to go here, /API, and then /login. When I do this, that's not going to load because wait, what happened here? Let's make sure this looks correct because we should have captured that in Burp Suite. All right, so I want to go to proxy, interceptor resolve. Okay, so that's a problem we made. So we want to turn interceptor on, okay? And I'm going to refresh this and make sure Burp Suite, there it is. So now we've captured the request. And all I did is I clicked refresh after I made sure interceptor was on. So the next step is we want to press Control R on our keyboard. Control R, and you saw repeater lights up. Okay, and now we want to click on the repeater tab. So now we have the ability to take this request, manipulate it, and then redo it over and over and over again. All right, but before we get to that point, we need to go back just a little bit. Let's click on proxy here, make sure intercept is on, and we need to go to the Unify website, and they want us to use test and test, and click sign on here. And we don't want to save, never save. And so let's see if we're able to capture this in Burp Suite. So nothing so far. Let's try this again. All right, so for me, I received an error. So I'm going to click go to the recommended. Well, let's try it again because for some reason it errored out on me. So we're going to try to. All right, so it looks like we got redirected. Let's see if we caught it in Burp Suite. Still nothing. Okay. All right, so so we're getting bad web requests. So maybe it's got something to do with Burp Suite, but I would expect to see something in the proxy setting if we're capturing that. Okay, here we go, advanced. All right, and then let's click proceed. We'll accept the risk and continue. Okay, so here it is. Looks like we got it. I'm gonna forward this request on in Burp Suite. I'm gonna forward this request also, and for this one. So you can see this is all the parts of the page that we're intercepting right now. So you get a chance to see a little bit of the troubleshooting that I'm having to do because, like I say, it doesn't always work the first time the way it's supposed to. Looks like I got another one here. Like it took just a while to load. Okay, finally, looks like we're getting to the point. Okay, so we now actually have the website loaded. So what we want to do is want to type test and test. Want to submit this one. All right, and perfect. This is where we need to be now. So now that we've done that, we're going to change the credentials. We're going to change different things. This is where we're going to start to manipulate the request. But before we do so, this is what we need to do set we did before, which is to get this in repeater. Control R, and you see repeater lights up. And so now we've got this section where we have the username and password so that we can continue to repeat the process of sending this information to the website. Okay, so everybody, want to slow down for a second. Let's go through this. So one of the things we need to do now is we need to get our IP address on our box. Control +++ is how I like make this bigger so you can see it, just so you know in terminal. I'm gonna do IP-A rep. Okay, so IP space A pipe, which is a vertical line, grep, GREP, tunnel 0. Tunnel 0 is a VPN tunnel to hack the box. And so this is how we get our IP address. This is one of the things to use. So it's very important because we need to take this and we're going to put this in the command, the exploit code that we got from the article. So we didn't actually read through all of that. So, but I showed you where the article was here on the NVD, right? So without going through all the details of how they came up with this, they want you to go here and we got to do a substitution within here. So where, remember, you see with the word false. Okay, we want to take out the word false, going to Control V, and we're going to paste this in. Keep in mind, this is your tonal IP address. So mine should be 10.10.16.32, which is here. Okay, so make sure you get that correct, or that's going to impact you in this hack. Okay, so I think it's definitely worth referencing the guide here because the thing you need to know is JNDI is called the Java Naming and Directory Interface API. This is what we're going to be exploiting. And then also LDAP, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. You'll need to know these to complete the questions. Okay, so now we officially have made the change here. Once again, make sure you get that correct. If not, that's going to impact you. So we're going to send this to the server using responder. And so hit the send. And then we're going to monitor the response, which is going to be the right side here. Okay, so I noticed that my request was supposed to tell me that the payload was invalid, but I didn't get that. So this is where I went into troubleshooting. And what I realized is I made a mistake. So let's go ahead and let's put this on one line. We'll undo this. So one of the things that I missed per the documentation is I did not put the double quotes on the end of the phrase. So I need a double quote here. And I need a double quote at the end here, and that should make it match. Sorry, actually not right there. It should be, let's make sure I get this correct. So the double quote shouldn't go there. It should go right at the end of this request. Okay, so at this point, your line should look just like this: colon, double quotes, the $, open brackets, that command, and then double quotes again. All right, so let's resend this command and let's see if we get a match. We're supposed to get it. Okay. Here it is. Perfect. So now we're 100% on target here. So API error, invalid payload. This is good. So now what we want to do is we know that our goal is to have this to communicate back to us so that we can run exploit code. So the thing is we need to go to our terminal again. Let's open a new tab and let's make this bigger by pressing Control+. Okay. All right. This is good. And so we're going to run this command, which is going to start a TCP dump. Now, most of you are probably familiar with a program called Wireshark. Well, a TCP dump is very similar. It's a Wireshark packet capture. We're going to be able to see connections. So sudo means we're going to do with admin privileges. TCP dump, this is a program that's like Wireshark but command line. -I is the interface, and we're doing tunnel 0, which remember I told you that's the interface. That's your VPN tunnel to hack the box. And port 389. The reason you want 389 is because LDAP runs on port 389 per the guide. So let's make sure we reference here. Very important. So here's 389 And this is what we're going to have connect back to us. So that once we have this command set, we should be able to we should be good to go ahead and start. So it's press enter here, Callie. All right, and so that was good, no errors. So we're listening on tonal 0. Okay, I've kind of moved my screens around to try to show both here. So what we see is we currently have it listening. So I'm going to click send again because we want to prove this is actually communicating back to us. So when I click this, wow, look, and this is what you should see. So we received a connection. And by the way, I hope this is cool because this is a really cool, now that you can do this, you can actually use the TCP dump for other things. So this is why it's important to learn this process. But either way, now that this is communicating with us, it's time for us to build the payload. Now it's very important that we leave the TCP dump screen open. Let's open a new tab. And so at this point, we've got to remember Control+. You're going to know that command by heart. So we want to update our list of available packages here. So Control-Shift-V. I just copied this from my pad over here. So we got all these notes written down to make sure this works. So we're going to do this update, and we're going to make sure all the package lists are updated, and then we're going to pull down a couple of additional programs. Okay, so we can see over here we had 145 packages that were upgraded. We're going to paste the next command, sudo apt install, and we're going to install the OpenJDK 11. And this is the Java development kit. It's used to create Java program, and it's what we're going to be using to exploit JNDI. Let's go ahead and start this. Looks good. All right, so now that'll install. All right, so now we want to issue the java-version command. All right, so that gives us the version we're running. Looks like OpenJDK 11.0.16. Now we want to install another program called Maven. Here's a command, sudo apt-get install Maven, M-A-V-E-N. We'll press enter there. You may be prompted to continue. We're going to press yes to make sure we're willing to use the additional space. And at this point, we've successfully installed Maven. Now to get the version of Maven, we're going to issue Maven mvn-v. And so that gives us a Java version and looks like some other, there's Apache Maven 3.6.3. So now is where we get to download the Rogue JNDI application. So we're going to do a PWD right here just to make sure we know where we are. And we're going to do mkdir Unify just to kind of make sure we've got a folder we can keep this all in. Okay, so now that we have the Unify directory, I'm going to move to the Unify directory. All right, and so now I'm going to go ahead and pull down this program. And we'll be able to execute this. And I just do this just to kind of keep everything organized. That's all. You don't have to do that. So let's talk about the git clone command. Git clone http github.com. What this is GitHub is a repository for code for people who write programs. And what we can do is essentially there in these repositories, we can just clone, which means we'll copy everything from the repository down to our local machine. So we're going to do that right now using the git clone command. Okay, that was quick. So now we want to change into the folder. So let's do an ls. So make sure we see what happens. So this is why we now have this new folder called Rogue JNDI, and we're gonna cd into that folder, ls. And so now we have a couple of files in here. And so we want to run what's called the Maven package command. And that's mvn package. All right, so if you did everything correctly up until this point, it should say build successful, give it a total time and finish right now. So this is where you should be. Okay, so pay special attention to this part. So now we're going to we're going to create a jar file in Rogue JNDI directory that we're going to pass to the application. So you're going to run this command. And once again, I know you may not understand all of this. To be honest, a lot of this stuff I don't fully understand. Well, not a little bit of it, okay? So here's what we're doing. We're going to echo this command, --c --i into the dev TCP. So this is basically crafting the payload. Now, one thing you want to be certain to do. All right, see this 10.10.16.32. Remember I told you before when I issued the command, this has to point to your device. So make sure you don't mess up here. Like these are a lot of things that like trip people up into the application. The port is going to be 444, and we're going to encode this in base 64, which is a type of encoding. It's not the same as encryption, but what this will do, it will help us to like not have encoding issues that could cause this to fail. So go ahead and press enter, and let's see if this works. All right, this is important. So this output you're going to need for the next command. Okay, so I've done my best to craft this into the correct format. Okay, so here it is. Let's hope that I got everything correctly. So this is the command, java -jar target. Don't get caught up so much on this, on all the different details. So this is just kind of, you have to work through, and except they put this together for you. But there's a jar file that was created, and we're doing this command in bash. And so remember up here, this right here, we're going to do echo, comma, and then this is where you're going to put this base 64, including the equals. Don't leave off the equals. It's part of the base 64 encoding. Okay, and this fact, one of the things that kind of gives you a hint that something is encoded in base 64. And then these commands are default, and host name, remember, this has to be your IP address here. Very important. Take the time to get this right. Let's press enter and see what happens. Okay, so it looks good. Looks like we've got HTTP server running. Okay, all right, we're going here. Let's see what happens. Now within the output, here's one thing we're looking for, is where it's going to mapping the LDAP to Tomcat. This line right here. This is what we're looking for specifically. So now, once again, very specific. Let's open a new tab. Let's go ahead and increase the size of this. Okay, so now that we got this, we're going to start what's called a netcat listener. We're going to leave off one part of the netcat, man, because it's LVNP typically, and so we're going to netcat minus LVP. This is going to be 444. So once again, this is us listening, because we're going to use this exploit, and we're going to get this to call back to us so we can get to reverse shell. So we need to start this part. Now that we got the netcat listener, so we need to modify the payload just a little bit. So now we're back in Burp Suite on the repeater tab. We're going to replace where it says whatever all the way up into the $sign. Okay, get rid of that. So we just have the double quotes. I'm going to paste this, and now we've got a additional command. So we got port 1389. Remember, this is our IP address, and it's got the old Tomcat, which is what we saw in the output. All right, so we're going to go ahead and send this. I'm going to change my screen to make sure we have, there's our netcat listener. Push that off to the side. Let's go ahead and press send and see what happens. All right, so looks like not successful. Actually, I take that back. We are successful right here. We received it. This is what we were looking for. So it's not, you're not on the netcat listener screen. You're going to go back to this one that I told you to make sure you don't open. So there's actually the command right there we're looking for. Okay, I just saw something that was really interesting. Actually, there's a typo in our code here. So this is supposed to be LVNP. Remember I mentioned this earlier? And so I created the netcat listener. And when I look down here, like, this is the command on the netcat listener. So there was a typo there. So let's go back and fix this. I want to walk you through fixing this, because once again, in my tutorials, like, I want to make sure I get you past the pitfall. So that's supposed to be LVNP right there, which is correct. So once again, there is a typo in the tutorial. So a lot of times this is what trips you up. And this is why I started creating these tutorials in the first place, because I ran into these little small things. And I know Hack the Box can't be perfect, but these little things can hurt people who are trying to get into hacking. Okay, so now that we've got that up right there, let's go ahead and let's go back to Burp Suite, and we'll see if we can do this. I'm going to pull my netcat listener off to the side again. I'm going to execute the payload again, click send. Let's see if we actually get something in netcat this time. So still didn't get anything in netcat. I got that right there. So as I click send here, watch this. I want you to watch this one. So right here, click send, and we should see we get a new line here. But then on my netcat listener, I'm getting nothing. So I got to go back and troubleshoot this. Yo, and it's pretty obvious my dyslexia got the best of me. So it's LNV. So LNVP is what I should have there. So that's a typo on my part. Let's go back and let's run this one more time, see if I can get it correct this time. Okay, so once again, this is part of the process. You will make mistakes. So let's see if we get it. Wish me luck. Still nothing at this point. Okay, yeah, I just saw another error in the guide here. So it says it should be 389. So remember, LDAP runs on 389, right? And this has got IP 1389. So as part of our JND LDAP request, I think that's where we're running into an error. So let's go and fix this in the request. So let's change this. So remember right there, I think this is the issue right here. Take that out, make that 389. Are we going to pull up our and then netcat command? Like honestly, it should have worked either way, because most of the netcat commands are going to be LVNP is what I've done in the past. In fact, let's go ahead and let's clear this page and let's put LVNP 444. We're going to send this request, and a couple things we're going to see. So I'll send this new request. I should see a new entry here. Over here, anything move? Nothing. Nothing there. Let's see, did I get anything on my netcat listener? So that didn't work either. Okay, we'll keep working with it. Okay, so with that being the case, I went back through and I looked at some of the previous like output I received. So it is definitely 1389. And what I'll show you that is if we go here, kind of go back, right? This is where we're getting the 1389 right here. So all of these are responding back on 1389. So that's correct. And so if I go back here and I click the send now command, we should get a new entry. So you see that moved right there. So that part is actually working. It's just that we're just not getting anything on the netcat listener. So I'm not sure what's happening there, but we'll see if we can figure it out. So there was one thing I noticed, like initially they told us to use tests and tests. What I saw later is that they actually changed the code here to admin and admin. All right, so let's go ahead and send here. Let's get my netcat listener ready. Let's try admin and admin, see if that actually works. And unfortunately, still no joy at this point. Okay, so I just restarted the server. I'm going to go ahead and push this command again. I've checked everything. I found not a single thing that was wrong. All right, so here, and there's my request right there. That went through successfully. Sometimes it can take a second for it to go through, so we're going to let netcat do its thing and see if we get the shell. Okay, so it is literally hours later. I've gone through this, and all I did different was I just typed the command out. I don't know whether it's some kind of special character, but I moved all my stuff to Notepad to make sure I clear out those characters. But when I typed the command out, only thing I can say I did differently was, I'll show you on this screen. This could be the issue, okay? And my original, I had a space here and here. I took this space out, but once again, just retype the whole command with the exception of the actual base 64, and then started it up. Let that run. Forgive me, this is a little bit messy because like I said, I've been through this so many times. Started my netcat listener. All of this is the same, nothing changed here. I did restart the VM because it was giving me trouble. And then when I run it this time, boom, there's my shell. Okay, so I don't know, that was really kind of interesting, the fact that I had to do this, and I spent several hours working on it. But either way, got to this part. So now we need to upgrade our shell at this point. And so we're going to do that by issuing this command, Control-Shift-V. So script, let's see, is that right? SCRPT. Let's try it. Okay. All right. So that gave us a better shell. All right. So now we're going to get the user flag. So we're going to CD. Well, first of all, let's do the right thing. So we're going to do ls. Okay. And so that gives us a list of all the directories. And so this wants us to go to, looks like home Michael, but see where I am, I don't see it. So let's go to CD. Let's go to root. Can I even go to root? No, I can't do that, but I can go. So I think it would be type CD /, take you down a few levels, then go to CD home, do ls, and then there's the Michael folder. So now we want to go to the Michael. See, we can't tab it out. Okay, so let's clear. Oh, I can't do that. Sorry, I forgot about that. Okay, so there's a user text, and then all we want to do here is do a cat user .text. We got to type out everything because this is not the best, like fully most interactive shell. So I'm going to take that, copy that at the bottom of my list. All right, so now that we've got the user flag, we can move on to the next step. All right, so it looks like we're going to look at a list of the running processes here. So we're going to run PSAUX. Let's go ahead and put that on there. All right, so what this does is that we're looking here, it's just a little bit bigger. Unify. see grep. So we're looking for MongoDB, and it looks like it's showing Unify. There's the MongoDB logs. So this could format a little bit better. Let's see if I can make the screen just a little bit bigger. Run the command again. Okay, so that's a little bit easier to see at this point. All right, so once we run that command, let's move on to next. We're going to do try to make an attempt to connect to MongoDB on a particular port, which is the port is going to be, looks like 27117. By the way, you'll see the command, but right here it shows that it's user library unify data.db, and then there's the port 27117. So up next, we got this command. We're going to try to connect, interact with the MongoDB. So here's the command mongo, which is the database dash port. There's the port. What they did is they searched and they found out that the default database name was ACE, and so we're connecting to that database name ACE. I'll be honest with you, I think this is going to try to pull the default. I would say each administrator or user in the database. So let's go ahead and execute this command. So eval dbadmin.find, and then it's like running a for statement. So for each, it's going to print the JSON. So I guess for every entry in the database, it's going to print out the JSON. And so what that gives us is a list of, we got email addresses. Okay, that's dope. Names. Let's go to the top of the list because we want to make sure we don't miss anything. So it looks like that's the topology. So like this is, I guess this is printing out the JSON for the entire database. But I can tell you in particular what you're focused on, or one of the things you're focused on, is when you get here to the bottom, you start to get into some usernames. Let's see, a little bit further down, I think. All right, so there's Warren, Seamus, and there's one account in here that should be administrator. Okay, so I missed it. It was right here at the top of the list. So here's the administrator. So this is right there after you run the command. You'll see at the top, there's administrator. And this is their, I think they call it the X shadow. So in the actual, this is their actual password. But we're not able to crack this password. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace the password here with our own password for the administrator account. Okay, so this is where it gets to be really fun. Now I want to mention that the passwords, like if we generated these passwords without the salt, they can be broken easily. So salt is a random group of numbers that's added to any password that makes it unique. Because what happens, you will have what's called, I guess, hash collisions, which means that if you didn't put the salt on it, I think there were certain passwords within when the passwords were smaller, at least, or the length of the hashes were smaller. But anyway, if you didn't salt them, you would end up having multiple ones that may have the same literal hash at this point. And so by salting them, you ensure that they're like unique each one. So anyway, that being the case, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the next phase, which you're going to generate a hashed password that we're then going to use to replace the X shadow password. So we'll take this command and we're going to use this one called make password here. So see if I can paste this in. All right. Oh, actually, I take that back. We need a new tab here. All right. Paste that here. Okay. So as you notice, this gives us a password that is hashed and fits the same format. So at this point, we're going to replace the existing password with this one. Okay. So let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. And by the way, correction on that. So the main reason of salting is not necessarily hash collision. I was kind of thinking about that. I was like, that's not correct. It's really the fact that you can take a password and you can generate this. You can take the same password and I can like do basically like encrypt it with SHA-512, right? And I can do that over and over and over again. And essentially I would get the same hash every time. But when I add a salt to that, it's going to make it unique. So no matter how many times that I've like convert the same password to SHA-512, by the way, that stands for secure hashing algorithm. By the way, that's what SHA is. Okay. But no matter how many times I do it, it's going to always generate a different password, even if I give it the same password. So that's what the salt does. It makes sure that it's absolutely unique. But remember, secure hashing algorithm, SHA. Okay. So let's move on. So now that we have this, this new hash generated. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to replace it. Let's see what we're going to do here, right here. So here's the command that we're going to run, and it's a pretty significant command. And I was going to cut this, but I think I'm going to do this so you can see it. So I'm going to take the command that they generate here, because this looks like one of those like moments that could really like get somebody stuck. Okay, so I'm going to paste that. This is the command, and they want us to replace this like right here, SHA generate 512 hash generated. So essentially what that means is that they want us to go to, and actually I need to put this, I'm going to take this starting with the $, all the way over, and Control-Shift-C, and then I want to basically go here, take this out, and then Control-Shift-V. All right, so that should be my command. So now I'm going to take this and make sure this looks good. The port and everything looks good. Control-Shift-C. All right, so I'm going to take this command. Now I'm going to jump back over where I have my connection. Be very careful not to close the wrong window. Okay, so let's see if this actually worked. I don't think it did, because I think we got feedback too soon. Let's see, match, right result. We'll see in matched, inserted, modify. I'm not sure how good I feel about that. I'm going to reformat the command and try it. Okay, so I just double checked. It looks like it actually ran good. So now we're going to run another command that's going to basically, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look at the JSON again, and we want to verify that that new hash matches the hash that we just updated it with. So let's scroll to the top. Notice a lot of information to look through. Okay, looks like right here, and I'm trying to make sure I don't get caught. So let's make sure we don't pass, because we got so much stuff in this window at this point. Okay, here it is. Okay, so those are my commands, and then looks like right here. Fine. Okay, here it is right here, administrator, and then I want to make sure this matches. So JJPX. And let's look at what I had before. JJPX. All right, that looks good. NRBW. Let's see what we got. Make sure that matches. NRBW. So, okay, so looks like we did update the X shadow hash to match the password that we actually created. All right, so that's a good sign. So now at this point, we should be able to go there and log in. So we're going to go to Unify, and we're going to use admin, administrator. And I would definitely treat this as, well, the password is case sensitive, but maybe a username too. So just to be careful. So password, capital P, A, S, S, W, R, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when I submit this, in theory, it should get caught by my burp suite. Okay. So, and actually, I'll tell you another cool thing is I think I can just go here, administrator, and then I can type, yeah, actually, this is the way to do it. Password 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's submit this. All right, so it looks like we got an API error. So hold on 1 second. Let's see if we can fix it. And so at this point, I think it's important to go ahead and let's jump in here. Let's turn off the proxy, because I think the proxy is going to be messing us up right now. So choose no proxy. And that way I can issue commands again. So burp suite is no longer going to be intercepting everything that I do. All right, so this actually, I'm going to refresh the page now, because it looks like we got error, like it errored out on me or something like that. It won't let me press the button at this point. So we'll refresh, and as this loads, we're going to try administrator, all lowercase, and password with capital P, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if we successfully did it. All right, this looks promising. I don't see anything spinning. Oh, no, so no. Okay, so I just went back and double checked it, just to make sure my command was working and everything is matching here. And I generated, just to kind of show what I was talking about, like I generated the same password 1, 2, 3, 4. And I use SHA, like to hash it every time. And you can see I've got a different password every time. So let's make sure that we copy this correctly. I'm going to format this, make sure I don't get any spaces or anything like that. I'm going to drop the new password, and then I'm going to update the database again. Okay. Okay, so I changed back to the window that's actually connected to the server. I'm gonna paste this command. All right, and then I'm gonna press enter. So looks good. Matched one, inserted, modified one. I don't know if I saw modified one. That looks a lot better. Okay, so if I'm correct this time, the next thing it wants us to do is it wants to see if I can, oh, I want to type here. Remember, this is our shell. But we want to run the command that's going to verify like what's in here. So this is the command we did before, the Mongo, that basically does connects to the port database ACE evaluation. And we're going to find it for each one. We're going to print the JSON. And so I know it's a lot, but got to get used to looking at a lot of this stuff, right? So this is both sides of security. All right. So we know right about here, we see the administrator, and on $6 JM capital J3. Let's see, 6JMO. JMO, there it is, JMO J34. JMO. Okay, all right, cool. So I just confirmed that we did update the hash. It's successfully updated. At this point, I should be able to go back, and I'm supposed to be able to log in administrator and password. This is 2 times I've updated that password. All right, it's thinking, and okay. So this looks promising. I can see the URL is changed to manage now. Officially, we're inside, so we have the user password. We've got to get the root password before we can complete this exercise. So let's give it a second for this page to load. And I know this has been a long video, but this is the longest hack. This is your final one. After that, you get your free, if you've done all the free ones, you get your trophy for completing all the parts of the free starting point series. So now we're in the Unify interface. All right, so this is nice. We're inside the interface. And so now that even though we gained access to the interface, we don't really have root on the server, but we're going to give ourselves root access here. So we're going to click on settings right here, and then we want to go to site. So settings, the little gear in the bottom left-hand corner, and then site. And what we're looking for is we want to enable SSH. So in here somewhere, there's an option. There it is right there. So we can say enable SSH authentication. It says there's username root, and it's got this little eye so we can actually display the password. All right, and so at this point, okay, so you can see it right here at the bottom. I don't know if I can, no, not really able to make that bigger, but it's funny. It's not a crackable password for you, 2022, that's the password. So now that we've gotten that, we're gonna transition and we're gonna use SSH to connect to the box and log in as administrator at this point. In order to do that, we're going to go back to our terminal. Let's see, we'll open, let's do a fresh terminal here. Go ahead and make this bigger. And then we'll copy, I got most of these commands I got pre-populated just to save a little time. It's already a long tutorial, so we'll SSH to that. Okay, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Let's say yes to that. All right, and I think, let's see, we're doing root, and then the password is going to be, that's that not a crackable password right here. So I'm going to copy this, going to control paste that, see if that actually go through. Okay. All right. So at this point we're in, and then of course now these are the commands that can kind of get you caught, right? But I want to see what my options are. So let's see. All right. So there it is. Who am I? I am actually root. Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna do ls. Let's see where I'm root.txt. Okay, let's see what folder we're in. We're in the root folder, and then I can cat root.txt, and that's going to be my password. So now it's time. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna copy this out just in case this window closes at this point. So I've got both of my flags at this point. So let's go through and let's wrap up. I'm going to walk you through all the questions, and I'm going to make sure I explain these questions to the best of my ability to make sure that you don't just check the box, but that you actually understand everything that we've gone over today. Feel free to ask questions. I'm really working to get better to address your questions. So thank you for leaving them in the first place. So which are the first 4 open ports? Interesting. Okay, I don't Okay, box is up. Complete the previous task. Okay, I guess I don't know if I can do starting point here. Okay, I'm already connected. I'm already online. All right, this is interesting. Hold on a second. Let's fix this. Okay, that was weird. I just had to refresh the page. All right, so we've got which are the first 4 open ports. And so I like the fact that they give you some kind of clue. So let's go back. And this is where it's very important that you document well. For me, I just keep these windows open for the exercise, but really you want to be sure, like when you're doing actual penetration testing as you do this, you want to have a separate pad where you're making notes on all of these things. So 22, 67, 89, 80, 80. 22, 67, 89, 80, 80. All right, let's try it. Let's get those in. 62. 22, 67, 89, 80, 80. All right, what else are we missing? 22, 67, 89, 80, 80, and then I think it's 8443. Yep, 8443. All right, cool. What is the title of the software that is running on port 8443? All right, so we know it's Unify something. So let's look in here and we'll see 8443 right here. This is kind of where we're going through this. Unify network. There it is right there. So honestly, we can just copy and paste. Control-Shift-C. Save a little bit of time. Unify network. That looks like it fits perfectly. Okay, what version of the software is running? Okay, so we saw this in the previous exercise. So we can probably go back to the page here and somewhere on this page, but it was on the main page. But let's check. Well, maybe it's in our scan. So I don't see it here. But the good thing is when we log back in, you know, we can do this. So the easiest thing to do is we can just go to the Unify page right here. We'll take this, copy this, and we'll do like a new. Fortunately, like the little lag just kind of gets you, man. New, we do a private window, paste that in. That'll take it to the Unify page. All right, we'll go advanced, accept the risk. Because remember, this in the exercise, this is what we saw. And it's right there at the top of the main page, 6.4.54. 6.4.54. We're going to use our good memory, 6.4.54, and we're going to do that. 6.4.54. There we go. All right. What is the CV? What is the CV for the identified vulnerability? All right. We saw that at the beginning of it. And so the thing is, we were able to do some research. It's actually in the guide. So I don't have that open, but I can go up. There it is, vulnerability. So I do have my previous link. So I can cheat right there. There's a CV in the title, but it's CV 2021-44228 is the CVE related to that. So let's paste that. If that works, nope, it's got to be in the correct format. So we need the CVE part right there. All right, and let's paste here. Okay, what protocols does JNDI leverage in the injection? It's LDAP, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, LDAP, port 389. All right, what tool do we use to intercept the traffic indicating the attack was successful? That's going to be Burp Suite. Wait. What tool do we use to intercept the traffic indicating the attack was successful? Oh, TCP dump. This is when we first did it because like we just did a test to see if it responded back. So TCP dump right here, ends in P. That's why I love the tip because there's a lot of ways you can interpret some of these things. what port do we need to inspect to intercept traffic for? And that was 389. Those initial, like kind of the initial phase before we were able to exploit it. What port is the MongoDB service running on? So this is going to be back in our logs, and we did a the PSAUX command. Let's see, it's in one of these windows over here before we did the exploitation. So that's when we SSH'd in. I think it's one more window because I really wanted you to kind of see the different portions here. Like, so we're on it. This is, oh, I think it is an SSH window. So that's where I did who am I? Did I do PSA? Okay, it was on one of these windows. I'm gonna find it for you in just a second, because you remember we looked at the running processes on the box. Oh, and we verified. Okay, this is going to be on the window where we had our shell. Okay, actually it's in this one. It's just that I got a whole. So I think the simple thing to do is I can't issue the command. I'm just going to do the command again so you can see it, but it was PSAUX grep mongo. So here's the command right here. Okay, and so we ran that. Basically, you said list all the running processes, and we were seeing on port 27117. We had MongoDB running. So let's go 27117. All right, what is the default database name for a Unify application? ACE. Oh, it was ACE. You remember that? ACE. Gotcha. Okay, and what is the function we use to enumerate users within the database in Mongo? Okay, I've got that command over here. So I think what they want here is they want the DB admin find, and that's why they put it in parentheses like that. That's the command, db.admin.find. So remember that. This is kind of help you to remember some MongoDB commands. So if you're ever doing this in the future, that should be it. Okay. What function, what is the function we use to update users within the database and Mongo? I've got that. That's going to be a DB admin update. Let's see, once the little quotes around there, plus we don't have to put all the stuff around it, but the admin update, and we'll put those around there. Okay, good. What is the password for the root user? Okay, it just goes straight to the root. We don't want to ask about the user flag. Oh, the password. Oh, see, got to read correctly. The password for you was not a crackable password. 2022 was the password for the root user. That was it right there. All right, and so then we want the user flag. Okay, I thought so. I thought something was weird. In fact, we would take the user flag first, and then finally, 52 minutes into the video, if you are here, you're absolutely awesome. This is going to be the root flag, but not the quickest. This is not the quickest tutorial walkthrough on YouTube, but I guarantee it's probably one of the most informative out here. So congratulations to everybody who made it to this point. You made it all the way through all of the free ones. Strongly encourage you, if it is in your budget, go ahead and buy a subscription to Hack the Box Plus. Get the plus, whatever the basic subscription is, to get access to the rest of these servers, because they do give you some additional information. And I'm actually walking through. And for those that are here right now, let me talk to you just a little bit. So I'll show you where I am. So I've actually gone through, and I did pay for it. So I'm 100%ing everything. And I've got these 4 boxes that I've got to finish afterwards before I move on. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do next for content. Maybe I'll go to the Academy. I don't know if I could do content there. But if you pay, you get these 3 extra boxes. So I encourage you, keep going. Don't give up. Leave a message. Let me know how you're doing. If this video helped you in any way to get past a hurdle, or the whole thing helped you, please let me know. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.